you remember Alice in Wonderland? Do you remember that character, the White Rabbit? I'm late, I'm late, I'm late for a very important date. That White Rabbit has become all of us. We're all busy running around, late, late, late. Oh, we have so much to do. We're late, late for a very important date. And it's hard to find the time. It's hard to find the time for what matters most. We're going to talk about the biggest challenge that many meditators face. And it is the challenge of the White Rabbit, the challenge of finding the time. But here's the truth. You don't need to find the time. Looking for the time is looking down the wrong rabbit hole. Don't look for the time. Instead, look for the trigger. Look for the trigger. You see, when we are creating a habit, the structure of a habit has three parts. The first is the trigger, the second is the routine or the habit itself, and the third is the reward, how we acknowledge the beauty of and the power of doing this new habit and how we appreciate ourselves for engaging in that habit. The trigger, the routine, and the reward. And perhaps the most critical is the trigger. We're not looking for time. We're looking for the trigger. We're going to create a trigger. Now, B.J. Fogg, Professor B.J. Fogg from Stanford University, one of the leading experts on the structure of habit, gives us this beautiful clue. The trigger is the thing that we do right before the routine. And so the equation is this. After X, with X being the trigger, then I do the routine. Our whole life is filled with this sequence. Our whole life is filled with triggers. After certain triggers, we brush our teeth. After other triggers, we answer our telephone. Oh, look at our email. The ping is a trigger. We look at our email. There's so many triggers that have been wired into our neurology that in order to develop our meditation practice, we don't need to look for time. We need to develop the trigger. After I brush my teeth, which I know I'm going to do every day, every morning, I sit down and meditate. After I wake up, which I know I'm going to do every morning, I sit down and meditate. After what trigger will you do your meditation? Because if you go through your day looking for time, you're going to be looking in the wrong direction. Your day is already filled up with triggers, routines, and rewards. The key is to find a trigger that works for you. Something that you know is going to happen every day, reliably. Something that's impossible to miss, so that you can write on a 3x5 card, after X, after the trigger, I will do my meditation. That's the key to overcoming this challenge. Finding and committing to the trigger. Now today, the trigger is going to be me. I'm going to be your trigger. When I say these words, let's meditate. When I say those two words, let's meditate, that's going to be the trigger. Ready? Let's meditate. Okay, close your eyes. Settle in. 3 full breaths. Inhale, hold for a second, and smoothly let out. You know the practice. This is the 3rd day we've been doing it. Full in-breath, hold for a second, let it out. And after the 3rd one, let the breath breathe naturally. Bring your attention to the texture of the breath, to the rhythm of the breath, to the pulse of the natural breath. If thoughts come, that's nice. Hello, thought. Goodbye. I'm coming back to the breath. Come back to the pulse, the texture, the rhythm, the movement of your breath. Let it breathe you. If sounds distract, that's fine. Come back to the breath. That's the meditative routine. And now inside, in the heart of your being, say in your own way, yes, I just had a good meditation because that was the meditation that I did. Hooray! And then open your eyes. Trigger, routine, reward. And the most important of those is the trigger. Find your trigger. This is something that we work with in the Wisdom Heart community, helping people really establish their trigger. Because once you have that, the routine is relatively simple. And the beauty of meditation is that the reward is intrinsic. It's inherent in the practice itself. It's the reward of greater peace of mind, greater openness of heart, greater presence, and greater connection with your life. The key to it all, find the trigger.